on
The
their
idea,
own.
the ideal light is to just reach up as high into that infinite space as you can, using the star just kind of as a guidepost. It's not like you're connecting with an actual star. We want the line to be straight, be perfectly straight. The ancients called this the axis mundi, the center of the world. In the Ogallala Sioux, they had the central mountain of the world. They regarded it as the same thing. A lot of Indian tribes would have the central lodgepole, and it would be symbolic of the very line that we're talking about. And it reminds me of something in the Bible that says, God made man upright. And this has kind of a hidden meaning in it. It's like when we connect with that vertical dimension, it brings everything into alignment. And so vertical is moving directly away from the center of mass. So whatever planet, whatever body in the universe you're on, it has a center of mass, and you move directly away from that. That's true vertical. And everybody has, we all have access to that dimension, that part of our spiritual anatomy, you might say. It's part of the spirit. And our body just kind of is here, right? But we align ourselves with the spiritual part of ourselves, because that's who we really are. And we're not our body. We're our spirit. So doing this exercise is a very fast, a very immediate way of connecting with who we really are. That's the dimension in which we live. It's kind of it's almost like you could call it our spiritual skeleton, the spiritual spine. As we connect with it, what does it do? As it comes down through the body, it activates all the centers in the body, because we're doing it from the very top of the head. We're inviting that, we're opening up to that which is truly spiritual to come down and move through our physical being. And as it does so, it enlivens, it turns on, it activates all of the spiritual centers in us. And because it's coming through that true vertical line, it's aligning everything. It's bringing things automatically into balance. That's why we call it the crown chakra, because it's the ruler, it's the king, the queen, it's the ruling chakra. So as we open it, and believe me, when you look up in that direction, you align your spine, and then you look up through the top of your head and you open to that infinite dimension, that's going to open your crown chakra. That's for sure. But it'll do so in a way that gives you the very best kind of energy that can come through it. There is a reality to the mystical center of the earth, and it is a great source of strength. I once saw, I was up close to a rodeo rider. He was a Brahma bull. He was riding a Brahma bull. So as he's getting ready, I watched him put his hand under the strap that goes around the bull's neck and tighten it. And it was like such a feeling of solidity. You know, the Hindus regard the bull as like the motive power of the universe. It comes from the Taurus, the age of Taurus, where all power and strength is personified in the bull. And this guy was grabbing that power and holding it as though he were holding the core of the planet itself. And I could see the strength fill him and fill the bull and just solidify in him in that way. And that's typical of the earth element, right? It solidifies, it consolidates. So yes, you can do that. And feel free to experiment with it, but also let it also come down from above, because this is, there truly is the dimension of up, right? The dimension of up is away from the center of mass. And so as you do that, then you're going to become aware of both poles, and you can use that, you can mix them. And I think that when we get into the fourth part in the generative organs, we're going to touch on this more, because we're going to tap into these root energies, as though the root we're looking for is the core of the planet itself, in a living dynamic energy. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's going to be a key part of it. And for now though, make your first foray into this domain the up direction, and then but notice what's happening. But I guarantee you, by the end of this class, we're going to have all four of these areas aligned and firing on all four cylinders, so to speak.
Energy from below coming up flowed a lot easier than from above coming down for me.
I'm just curious if anybody else is feeling tingles, like in the crown area, actual physical tingles, and in the feet and the hands.
Yes.
All the way up and down my spine.
Okay, just naming it, because if you don't name it, you don't necessarily identify it.
There was a great American Hindu master named Subramanya, and he would tell his students to lean on the power of your spine. Lean back into the power of your spine. And it would do the same thing. And it starts to light you up. And yes, and then you can feel the top of your head tingling, and because it's waking you up, right? And make no mistake about it, when we're working with spiritual energies, the interface for us is the nervous system. These energies work directly in and through our nervous system. That's why we get the physical sensations of tingling and all of the other sensations that we get. It's like, if you look at the nervous system, a diagram of it, it looks like a net. It has this beautiful tree-like structure to it. And it's like an antenna. If you think of your nervous system as an antenna, then you start to pick up signals from the cosmic. And those signals can be on many different vibrational levels. But the ones that help us most are those that correspond to and resonate with the structure that we have, which is our body. This is our instrument. This is our vehicle. It's not us, but it's a very fine reflection of us. But as we know, it starts to fail after a while, and then it dissolves and goes back to the elements, but we don't dissolve, because the body is not who we are. And when we go through transition, we'll carry a simulacrum of it, kind of an energetic matrix of it, but it too will eventually dissolve. And then we start to go through successive layers of realization of who we really are. So a meditation like this, it not only avails us of those energies, but it also prepares us for that. It prepares us for life on other dimensions of our own reality, right? Because this, what we experience here, is just it's a simulation in a way. You know, you look at your computer, you think you're seeing an image, you move your mouse across the screen, you think you're doing that with your hands, but really what you're doing is you're interacting with a user interface. That user interface shows you, it gives you an intelligible way to interact with the inner workings of the electrons moving through the circuits within your computer itself. So what you're seeing is a simulation. What you're not seeing is the reality of what's going on. So in many ways, that's what this world is. We're interacting with a user interface, and it works really well, gives us exactly what we need to know. But once we allow these energies to come in and through us and start to waken us up, then other areas of the brain and our whole system start to wake up and perceive more of what's actually here. And that's where we start to become conscious of the life force, of the energy that moves through and in every living thing. And then we start to discover that, hey, that life force that I see everywhere is also the life force in me. It's the same thing. So this is why we meditate. It's not to reduce stress, you know, it's not to just calm down. We want to wake up. We want to be as fully alive as we can possibly be. And we want all of these beautiful energies, these intricate energies that are moving all through our body, in all parts of our body. We want them to be harmonized and to work together so that they support each other. And so when we look in one direction, what's needed to see what's in that direction will be available to us. When we look in another direction, we want to see what's there. But we can't do that if we're blocked off, if we're segmented, or if we're all up in our head or any place else. If we're in our emotions or in our will, all of these things, if they're overdone, they just wreck our lives. So this form of meditation is designed to harmonize all of these parts of ourselves. And I know there are 7 centers, and there are even more than that, but the 7 main ones, you know, but just the act of looking up into infinity, that lights up the third eye. Just stating, even within in your thought, just stating your intention, that's the throat chakra. That's your speaking. You see? So everything that we do uses those energies, and through working with this kind of meditation, then we begin to be able to discern which energies we're working with and how they work together, what shuts them down, what blocks them. So it's almost like as though you were going to a gym and working with different muscle groups and learning about how the different muscle groups work together. And this is doing that same thing, only spiritually, working with spiritual energies, the spiritual part of your anatomy. You guys understand this? I'm sure you do. It's real enough to be understandable. So there are many different dimensions to ourselves we're not always aware of. There are things that we do that are essentially spiritual in nature. Even reaching out to take a glass of water, to pick up a glass of water to drink, that's the same. And when I say the same, I mean absolutely 100% identical to the roots of a tree reaching out for moisture in the soil. If you get that, you can start to see other places where that same kind of thing is true. What happens when you look, right? Seeing and looking are two different things. Seeing is passive, looking is active. So these are just a couple of ways that these are the kinds of things that will start to open up in your understanding. And not just an intellectual understanding, but a real tactile, real experiential kind of way. And all of this that I'm talking about, this is all God. This is part of the great being that we live in. We are in God. God is not somewhere else, right? And God is not even within us. We're within God. So how could God not be within us, right? It's like this, like the fish in the ocean, right? We're in God. Everything that moves through us, all energy is energy of God. And we have this magnificent vehicle, this body created in, as the Bible says, in God's image. And I think that if you think about that example I gave of reaching out for a glass of water in the roots of the tree, that's a hint at what kind of image we're talking about. It's not that God has a head and 2 arms, 2 legs, torso. No, that's not it, because you could be from a different planet and have a completely different kind of vehicle, but still be human. Still be that creation of God, created in God's image. We want to produce a movement of energy. That's what makes it real. So focusing on your breath, that can be really beneficial. And there are lots of different ways to meditate. But what I'm trying to do with this is to build a platform, something that you can, because here's the advantage. You can be walking down the street. You can be standing at the sink doing dishes or preparing dinner, or you can be watching a movie, in the theater or at home. You can be doing virtually anything. And if your platform is established and well established, all you have to do is think about it. Just briefly think about it, and boom, it's there. So it's not like you have to have a particular time to meditate, although when you're setting up this platform, you want to be as deliberate about it as you can. But once it's set up, then it's just there. It's already always there. So just looking in its direction, immediately you can feel that alignment. You can feel the movement of the spirit in and through you. And next week, when we talk about the heart, when this energy comes down, it activates the heart, and the heart broadcasts out into whatever you're looking at. So it starts to bring your whole being into your, to call it meditation might not even be the correct term. It's like a way of being. It's like being fully embodied. Right? Really coming into your body. And so there's nothing escapist about this. There's nothing that's otherworldly. I mean, it will open up other worlds like crazy if you do this consistently. But it'll do so from within you, and you'll have a grounded experience of those things. Doing essentially, Eli, is we're kind of hacking consciousness in this. We're doing a consciousness hack, because looking up, even in mind, looking up as high as we can, that's not really what we're doing. I mean, that's the user interface part of it. What we're really doing is we're raising the vibration of our consciousness, of our faculty of looking. So essentially what we're doing is we're raising the vibration of this third eye, this, you know, this thing, this part of us that looks, right?
Yeah.
So the exercise of reaching as high as we can, straight up like that, out into the infinite universe, is a way to occupy the mind, you might say, but what it's really doing is it's raising the vibration of our consciousness.
Okay.
And then, and as it rises and expands, then it connects with that which is already always there.
Yes.
Just like the electricity for your rocket and the wire, that's already there. That polarity is already there.
Yes.
And all we're doing is just giving it a way to move. What I'm looking for in this are even more basic commonalities, because we all have a body, right? We all have the same structure, the same, we're created the same way. Doesn't matter where you live or what race or locale you are, you all have a stomach, we all have a liver, brain, 2 hands, feet, you know, most of us. So we have the same internal structure. So that's the ultimate commonality. And those we carry with us all the time. So we never need anything external to make our connection with God. And we're not like going within. I mean, we are, and that's certainly, you know, that's a whole another thing we can talk about. But it's the realization that we are within the thing we're trying to reach. So we don't have to go anywhere to it. It's all right here, just the same way that our body is all right here, right? So that's the kind of commonality that really works. So, and Patrick, as always, you always give me something really key, and you just did, because you're identifying, you're walking through the woods and you're hooking up with the life force in all of nature around you, right? So what's the source of all life on this planet? It's the sun. That's where it all comes from. That's the big spark, right? It's the big initiator. It's the thing that puts everything into motion. And so this star, this first part of this platform we're building, the star, that's solar energy. All stars are solar energy. So what we're doing is we're attuning ourselves with that divine impulse that brings everything to life. So this is what the crown chakra is about. This is like receiving that impulse, the spiritual impulse to bring everything within us alive. And God, what could be more spiritual than that, right? What could be more spiritual than to be fully alive in your body, in your heart, in your mind, in your surroundings, to be one with all of life? You know, what we can see and what we can't see. It just doesn't get any more spiritual than that. And if you can achieve that here in this body, in this planet, in this place we live, you'll be able to do it anywhere, no matter where you are. After this lifetime, you find yourself in God knows where. It's a big place, you know. You will have the essential tools to navigate and to be there in a harmonious and coherent way. So, you know, like they say about New York, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. This is a wonderful training ground for us, this earth. So that's why we focus on this full body grounding and using the solar energy coming in, learning how to receive it, how to give it, how to radiate it, and how to ground it, and how to use it to move things in our lives. And those are the things that we're going to be talking about in these next few weeks. Oh yeah, Tim.
Yeah, when it comes to doing this practice this week,
Yes.
you know, you've been talking about you can do it anywhere while you're walking, while you're doing the dishes. Do you think the repetition is that more important than like doing an extended period of time?
You know, these things always strike me as like if you're a musician and you're trying to hit a certain note. You can try and repetition and you know, work at it and beat yourself up about it and all of that. But what you're really trying to do is to hit a note. And once you hit that note, it's like all of that effort and all of that repetition, all of that collapses right into that moment. So if you keep as your goal hitting that note, that's your goal. Then whatever you need to do in terms of timing or persistence or any of that effort, all of that will be governed by that one goal. We get locked up, you know, we get bound up in these things about, you know, routine and practice and all of that. And it's important once you really are able to establish this pattern, this platform, then it's all about just being, you know. Jonathan Livingston well, it said, perfect flight is being there. So we're kind of in a new age now, and a lot of the old ways of doing things are just not that necessary because there's so much more energy available to us now. So concentrate on that. Concentrate on just making that connection, and then whoosh comes through. That's it. That's it. You don't have to do anything more. Just be with that more and more, you see, and use it in different ways.